Welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Malindo Air Business Class on my recent flight from Singapore to Kuala Lumpur Airport. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe. The journey today is incredibly short. From Singapore Changi Airport to Kuala Lumpur International Airport, it's under 300 kilometers. You're barely airborne for 40 minutes. Our journey today begins from Singapore Changi Airport, Terminal 3. This is personally my favourite terminal to depart from in Singapore, as it is the largest and contains the newest lounges and facilities. As usual, Singapore immigration was a breeze, and I was through in barely under a minute. As I had a bit of time before my flight today, I decided to head to the SATS Premier Lounge, which is just up those escalators and on the right, very close to the Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer Lounge. However, I really only stayed here for a cup of coffee. At the time that I visited, this lounge was absolutely packed and I could barely get a seat, and the food and beverage options were not so great. I made a full video about my visit, which I've linked at the end of this video. Check it out. Having had my cup of coffee, I decided to go and get some proper food. I have a priority pass card, which gives me access to a number of restaurants at Changi Airport, whereby you get a food and beverage credit every time you go. My personal favourite in Terminal 3, and indeed for all of Changi Airport, is The Kitchen by Wolfgang Puck. I ordered some truffle fries and the appetizer platter. I'll be honest with you, this was way more food than I was expecting. I think this restaurant has American-sized portions, because this was huge. Aside from the food, one thing that I really liked in this lounge is that you had a fantastic view out, overlooking a Singapore Airlines A350 aeroplane. You don't often get to see the planes this up close, so I'm definitely reusing this clip on my next review of a Singapore Airlines A350 flight. Having had a good meal, I made my way to the gate and got a great view of a Boeing 737-800 that's going to take us to Kuala Lumpur. I boarded and took a look at the seat, which is in a 2-2 configuration, so you do have a seatmate with no divider between you, but that was okay. I was alone on this flight. I've got to say, I was actually really impressed with this seat. I know it's old school and a regional business class product, but you got two huge windows to enjoy the view out of, plenty of legroom, and the seat itself was very wide. Wider, in fact, than some of the long-haul business class products on airlines like Singapore Airlines. As you can see here, the seat controls were manual and simple, but got the job done. There was also a little pop-out tray for you to put your drink on, which is handy as you're sharing the armrest with your seatmate. I've got to say, it really was a very well-designed seat. Whilst we were waiting to push back, the crew came round with a little pre-departure snack. These are wasabi peas and were tasty, although let's be honest, not that premium. They also brought round a small bottle of cactus water. Just to be clear, cactus is the brand, this isn't actually water from a cactus. While we were waiting, I took a little shot around the cabin. As you can see, it was quite full on this journey, although as I mentioned, I was lucky I didn't have a seatmate. About 20 minutes after we boarded, we began our pushback from the gate. Again, enjoying the view out of those giant windows, which I swear are larger than on other planes I've been on. The journey to the runway took maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and before I knew it, we were ready for takeoff. I normally speed this segment up so as not to bore the viewers. However, I had such a great view out of these windows, I've decided to play this in full. Please let me know in the comments if you'd rather I did the takeoff and landing in full or sped up. I'd really like the feedback. After not too long, we were at our cruising altitude and on our way for our very short flight to Kuala Lumpur International Airport. I should mention at this point, there's no in-flight entertainment screen, so you can't watch TV whilst you're on your flight. I read this magazine instead. The crew, however, sprung into action and set up the table for our very short snack service. You're only airborne for 40 minutes, so they had to act quickly. The meal was simple but effective. It was some kind of cheese, pepper, and I believe chicken or beef bread related thing. I'm sorry, it was a while back I took this flight. I can't recall exactly what it was. Just take a look, you can see what it is. What I will say is that it was tasty, filling, and to be honest, for a 40-minute flight, this is really all you need. Plus, I ate at the airport, so I didn't need anything too substantial. A variety of drinks were on offer, but I just took a Diet Coke for a very short flight. I've got to say, one of the most impressive things about this flight was the view. I really do swear these are oversized windows, and the view was incredible. I actually didn't manage to finish this, not because it wasn't tasty, it really was, but I'd eaten a lot of food in the airport. The Wolfgang Puck restaurant was a lot larger than I expected. Having finished my meal, I popped into the toilets. And this video here kind of illustrates the problem with the toilets. I'm 6'1", or 185 centimeters in American units, and I hit my head quite a lot trying to use this toilet. It was fine at the sink, but due to the curvature of the aircraft, if you actually wanted to stand to use the toilet, I think most people would have hit their head in this. It was very short. Having used the facilities, I sat back at my seat, and pretty much straight away, the captain came on board to announce we were beginning our descent into landing. The approach into Kuala Lumpur International Airport is actually really beautiful, and you get some great views of the scenery. Again, I'm going to do this in full. A bit of a bumpy landing. These smaller planes are not quite as smooth as the jumbo jets you usually get, but in no time at all, we were deplaning and into Kuala Lumpur International Airport, Terminal 1. This flight was actually part of a multi-journey, so I was only stopping in Kuala Lumpur Airport for about 2 hours. Fortunately, my next flight departed from the same gate, so I didn't have far to go. Overall, I've got to say this flight was far more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. If you watch my channel regularly, you see that I mostly fly on Singapore Airlines. So I did have, I think, unjustified low expectations for this flight. However, the food was perfect for the length of flight, the seat was super comfortable, and yeah, there was no in-flight entertainment, but it's 40 minutes with a snack included. You don't really need entertainment, and if you really do, just watch something on your phone. The service was great, and you got amazing views out of these oversized windows. Would I fly this product again? Absolutely, in a heartbeat. I was really surprised by how good it was. 5 out of 5 stars.